So what is your relationship with water?
Honestly, my relationship with water is kind of complicated. I grew up not swimming for a lot of reasons because of my hair and knowing that my mom would have to do my hair multiple times if I got it wet. And so, it's not just okay, well, let's just put it under the blow dryer. It's very much like now we have to wash it and condition it and detangle it and then have to restyle it. And so depending on the season, that meant that, we were using a hot comb, or maybe as I got older, then that meant that I was having relaxers. And so I grew up not really comfortable around water because of my hair. And then, of course, as I got older, then I started understanding how this is an ongoing problem, a generational problem, because people of color in their relationship to water and segregation and how that played a part in even people in my family knowing how to swim. I have family members that are in their late 60s and early 70s that don't know how to swim because when they were growing up, like, segregation was still the law, and so they didn't grow up and spend their summers out by the pool. A lot of times, like, they were working or they just didn't have the money to go swimming, and so especially being in Nebraska, that wasn't a thing. Like, we didn't just go to the pool. We didn't just have a pool in the backyard. That wasn't a part of my family's lifestyle or their history or their financial situation. And so for me, I think some of that was also internalized fear, because if they didn't know how to swim, how could they save me? And so I hear stories about people in my family who just kind of threw their kids in the pool and how traumatizing that must have been to them, because I know for me that would have been terrifying and I would have never gone back if I if I had a choice in the matter. And so for me, I think my relationship is complicated. I didn't actually start swimming until I was 29. I didn't learn how to swim until I was 29. And even then, I can't say that I was actually swimming. It's more like I know how not to drown. And so it's very much me knowing how to flip over on my back and how to hold my breath underwater, how to jump in and not like break a limb and when I jump in. And I don't know if I necessarily would say that my relationship is a healthy relationship with it. I know that there is absolutely room for improvement, but I think my personal relationship is one of like a complicated history of like racism, whether we're talking about just because of skin color or hair or any of these other things, mixed with some classism and socioeconomic status opportunities. And so so I think that's my relationship with it.
And how did you, in fact, learn how to survive in the water?
Yeah.
To not die?
Yeah. So I used to work at a university in Oklahoma, and some students were taking a scuba safety course. And so part of their scuba safety course was making sure they were able to safely navigate water. And so they had a test that they had to do to be able to be in this class. And then another extra assignment for extra credit was to get someone in the pool with them who was uncomfortable in the instance they needed to do any type of life-saving measures with someone that they were like swimming or they were doing scuba activities with. And so I had a student who was my RA who begged me to please, because she wanted extra credit in this course. And so I did. I got in the pool with her, and there was like a little like doggy paddle that she kind of taught me, but I don't even know if I can call it that. There's some movement in the water, but it wasn't like comforting. It was very like, I'm just doing this because the student is relying on me, not because this is something that I love doing and I feel great about it. And so I haven't done that in over 10 years. And so now when I'm in a situation where there's water in me, I'm going to stay in the shallow end even now, even though I know that I would possibly be okay. It's not anything that I am going to herald that like I'm a really good swimmer or anything like that. So don't rely on me to try to come save you. I cannot help you. I can't. To tie back in like the conversation regarding like the complicated relationship with water, I know that there are ridiculous amount of health benefits of just exercising in water, and also I feel as though water can heal, and there's messages that are carried through the water. For me, as someone who identifies as a Christian, I feel like even in the origin story of the world, it was like God within like the Trinity was talking with themselves and was like, you know, the spirit of them was hovering over the face of the earth. It was void, but there was water there. And so if it was here at the beginning of time, and understanding the way that water works and how needed water is, and knowing that we are all made up of like so much water, and there's a part of me that's like, I know that this is good. I know that I contain elements of water. And so for me, this space of knowing that this is part of essentially like the makeup of my body, and yet I fear it so much, is weird. It's complicated, right? But then also understanding that like water also carries power. I mean, and so I think there's a couple of stories that are coming to mind, of course, with the story of like Moses, and they were escaping from Pharaoh, and so Moses stood there and like that water separated, you know. And so if the water can separate and can provide a pathway and can carve a pathway, because of course water can actually do that, right, with landscape. And understanding that in Nebraska right now, like the Colorado River provides so much nourishment to the and moisture and hydration to the western part of Nebraska. And so the problem is that the Colorado River is running out of water, and so now there are parts of the state that are at risk of being in a drought. And so understanding that makes up a lot of the economy of agriculture as a whole, right? And so animals have to have water, the land has to have water, and yes, we can hope that it rains, but wouldn't it be nice to just have like a reservoir full of water, right? And so understanding even like my time in Oklahoma and the Dust Bowl and what that meant for people who now moved out to California because there was no water, right? There was this dryness, and so Oklahoma created all of these reservoirs. There's just so much, there has to be this respect with water, but there also is this fear, but like there's so much that's tied into it. And so of course, being a Black woman, understanding that my ancestors crossed the Middle Passage. And so, you know, while I, you know, no matter how you feel about suicide, you know, it's part of it, but no matter how you feel about suicide, like there were people who were on ships who said it would be better to not be here and I will do whatever I need to do. And so they voluntarily got off of that boat, right, in the middle of the ocean. And so I think that water also carries the messages of my ancestors. It carries the hurt and the pain. I think there's something to be said also when I got to Texas for grad school was when Katrina happened. And so, you know, 4 years earlier was like 9/11, right? And so there's like these back-to-back traumatic experiences that are taking place in people's lives that are about my age. And some of them surrounding water, some of them also surrounding natural resources and all of these other things that are so integral to the makeup of who we are as a society and the things that we rely on. And I don't know. And so for me, water is complicated. It's who we are, but it's also the thing that we need to survive, but yet there's not respect for it while there is the monetization of it. You know, it's a really weird relationship.
Thank you. And follow up, how do you feel when you are near water? Have you noticed anything about the way you feel next to it? So like right now.
It's the weirdest thing, right? It's the weirdest thing, because even though I'm by it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go look at it, right? And so there's this fascination that I have with it as well, because I think it's stunning. Every time I see the ocean, I say, wow, like it's almost breathtaking. When I'm thinking about my dream life and, you know, like thinking about like, oh yeah, when I've made it, or, you know, that type of thing, it's me and my, you know, golden retriever are going for a walk on the beach in the mornings, and we're playing, you know, like throw and catch and all the other things, you know, and like my dog is going to go get this stick that we found, you know, when I'm walking like on the beach, you know, with no shoes on, and, you know, and then we go and we walk to the market and get a mango, and then we walk back, you know, and I wake up in the mornings and I see the ocean. That's the first thing I see. Like in my mind, that is like my dream. That would be the ideal way to start my day. And it's so weird to me because I do have this fear. I do know that, you know, all of these other things that are relying on water, and so I love being around it, but there's this fear that I have as well, and maybe it's a healthy respect, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. And so just another quick little thing, so in Nigerian folklore there is a goddess, and so anyway, and so
who's the goddess?
So there's Yamaya, and I for whatever reason I kind of resonate with her and understand that she is a deity, but also deity, but she also carries these messages through water.
Is she a goddess of water?
Well, just like fertility and some other stuff, and so yeah, but there's just I guess just a mutual respect. So I mean, even understanding like, you know, like Greek mythology and Poseidon, like there's a god that like rules this particular part of the earth. It's very fascinating. It's very fascinating. So I think again, there's fascination and excitement, but also still kind of like, ooh, I don't know though. I want to be excited, but I respect that you are a powerful force. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.